Welcome to RVU, an RV Insider podcast where I will interview industry experts, icons, and influencers. Classes in session for all things RV. I'm your host, Angie Morrell, and today we are so happy to be joined by Ted Cook, who just happens to be the regional sales manager, or really, our main guy, our regional sales manager for National Indoor RV Centers with Entegra Coach.
Right. I do all the diesel products, right?
And yeah, he does way more than. So Ted, I'm going to give you a chance. I know that this is not what you normally do, but brag on yourself a little bit, or I'll do it for you. Tell me your history of, basically, I know that you and your father were integral in starting up Travel Supreme. So start me way back there and how that happened.
So I started at Travel Supreme back in 1990. Worked on the production line of the fifth wheels. Worked my way up within 5 years, was running the plant. Ran the plant for 5 years. We built the number one fifth wheel manufacturer, high-end fifth wheel manufacturer at that time. Then they came to me and asked me, because I was doing a lot of engineering work, so they asked me, would you mind designing a motorhome? And I'll never forget, I looked at them real funny and said, well, I've never built a motorhome before. And they said, well, that's great, because we want brand new, fresh ideas.
I love that.
So went to work there. That was in 1989. Made our first model, and from there I was in the head of engineering for the next 5 years. And then eventually went into vice president of operations for 3 years. Then Jayco came in and bought Travel Supreme, and then I started up here at Travel Supreme and went through different aspects through service, purchasing, obviously ran production, but now I'm the salesperson. So I'm just your lowly salesperson. Don't really know much.
Yeah, it doesn't really know much. Okay, so back it up a little bit, because you were asked to build the first Travel Supreme high-end motorhome.
Correct.
Okay, so what tools, who was on your team? How did you start? You'd never done that before.
So I'd never done, but we actually looked at several different other units that people were building, and we said, we can make this better by doing X, Y, Z. So we started doing a lot of that. During that time, my father, who obviously had more experience in the RV industry than I did, was kind of semi-retired, if I could say it that way. And so I asked, could I have him come help me? That was something really interesting because, first off, I was my dad's boss. So it's kind of weird there, but it was also challenging because I wanted to really do my mom and dad proud. So my dad would a lot of times say, Ted, you can't do that. This is something nobody has done in the industry, which really made me try even harder to get stuff done. Our slide-out mechanism that we still use to this day, we designed back then, and it took me 3 weeks to get all the geometry all exactly right so it'd work right. But once I got it, and he looked at it, he goes, well, yeah, I figured you'd get it. And then later on in life, as we were going down through there, different issues would come up with customers that have problems. And so he would tell people, well, if Ted starts working on it, he won't quit until he's got it resolved. And so it was kind of unique, and it really did something really neat. And even to this day, I have a great relationship with my father.
No, I think that's really cool. Not everyone gets a chance to work with their father and then have a good working relationship. I know families working together doesn't always work out so well.
Right.
That would be my family. But I think that's really cool. So you mentioned the slide mechanism. That's one of the things that's still used today in the coaches. Tell me a few other things that you did way back when that they're still using today.
Oh, wow. Everything from the X bracing to the doors to slide-out trims. The way the floor unit's actually constructed still is the same thing from clear back from the original unit back in 1989. We did change the caps back in about 2015, 2016. We just recently changed the dash. Just the last couple of years.
Right. It was that still the dash that you guys worked on.
We designed clear back then.
All the way until 2023 when you introduced a new one.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that we still use from clear back then that, I had a direct hand on, designing and engineering.
Wow, that's really cool. So I feel like we're the luckiest dealer because we have Ted in our back pocket as our regional sales manager, and as my personal tutor. Ted has been super great and helped me learn so much about coaches over the years. It's just been phenomenal, and we really should have a new show that's called Stump Ted. Because we have Ted come to a lot of our AIM events and basically to our deliveries at National Indoor RV Centers. And if there's a question or something we can't figure out, Ted can usually figure it out in no time.
There was a joke that was done probably about 10 years ago. They would have different dealers that would come in and they would try to do that. And one of the guys picked up a screw and asked me, "Where does this screw go to?" And I told him, I said, "You did not get that out of our plant." And he started laughing. He said, "Yeah, I picked it up out of the service department." But yeah, so a lot of people try to, now I'm not quite that good because a lot of things have, little things have changed, but yeah, I used to be able to know every little intricate of every part of the motorhome.
I think you still know pretty well. I mean, like you can, if you don't know it, I know you'll figure it out. So you'll get in there and typical day for Ted is not, you're not afraid to get underneath the coach and start seeing what's going on.
No, not at all.
So I love that you're so involved with what you sell. So tell me what a typical day, because I know, well, it's kind of like asking me what a typical day looks like in my life, but at work, what is a typical day for work day for you?
That's a good question. So a typical day, obviously, I would come to work here at the Entegra Coach. I still keep track of a lot of different things of all the coaches and chassis, but also I kind of make sure the customers all get taken care of. But I think where I really enjoy my typical day is when I get a chance to go out and actually work with the customers. Last night, for an example, at 8:30, I took a phone call from a customer that was locked outside his coach. I eventually went into FaceTiming with him in my driveway and talking him through exactly how to get in coach. Couldn't find out all it was a screen door was catching on him.
Oh, wow.
So, but so I don't have a normal typical day, but that's what I like doing is actually working a lot with the customers and helping them enjoy their coach, but also helping them understand how their coach works to get through some of the problems and different things that they may have. So a typical day is a good day with customers. Best way to describe it.
So that leads perfectly into my next question, and you'll probably have to think a minute. Tell me of a couple of like your most memorable customer interactions that you've had since you've been at Entegra. And I know you've had a ton, so I didn't prepare you. So this is off the cuff.
I've had a lot of different memorable moments with customers. At one point in time, I was my title was customer liaison director. I'd go out there and help customers that would have different issues, and most customers would be very upset when you arrive just because of who you represented. But within 2 or 3 days, they would like, would you mind just going with us on our next trip? Because I mean, it was just so memorable. But I think one of the most moment that stands out to me the most was I had a customer one time that bought a unit and was having some trouble, and I just happened to be driving down the road, stopped at a truck stop in Missouri, and was looking at his coach, and he came out and we were talking. He was asking me about some different things about the engine and such, and then they took me inside there and they showed me some different things with his radio, and I pulled his radio out and repaired his radio, got his radio all taken care of, and anyways, I ended up taking care of him here in this truck stop, and he was just very appreciative. A few years later, somebody was telling me about all the problems they were having, and they were really kind of giving me an earful. And my wife, who never quite understood what I did, was kind of listening to it and finally sat down. And this gentleman, the same one I met at the truck stop, walks up to and wants to talk to me and sits down by my wife. Finally, he looks at my wife and says, if this guy would be quiet, Ted could help him fix his issues. And then he introduces, hi, I'm John. He goes, I own one of the coaches. And my wife looks at him and says, hi, I'm Kim. I own Ted. So that was one of the neatest moments that I ever had. And that customers really made a big impact. But I've had several where, I've helped a lot of people and I know I've changed a lot of people's, philosophy and their feelings toward the whole coach. But, and to them, it's very, very important. To me, it's like I was saying, it's another day for me. And that's what I always want to do is always be there to help the customers out no matter what situations they may have.
And that's just it. It's not that there's always problems. There's little issues that arise because we know that, we're marrying a car and a house together. But it's complicated and it's a lot to learn if you're new to RVing. And so it's helpful to have your own 1-800 line, call Ted.
Which I do. I give out my card to everybody. I tell people we have normal ways of taking care of things. And that would be, going through service department, which is really what I want people to do. Give service department, they like their job security. Give them a call and let's get them taken care of. But I tell people, if you get to that point where you just don't know what to do and you're about ready to pull your hair out, my cell number is on my business card. Give me a call.
Yeah, it is the best. And I've called it many times and texted it. Ted, quick question. I've got my own Ask Ted line, my 1-800 Ask Ted line. So tell me about what you're most excited about for the 2024 lineup.
There's some neat things that we are doing for 2024, a little bit of change in our thinking. That we are now allowing some customers, like if you want to change one color on the paint scheme, we are now kind of opened that door up. Tile, for an example, if you were ordering a Cornerstone, now you can order the Cornerstone tile, or you can order the Anthem tile, or even the Riata, or even the Spire tile. So there's some different things that we're opening up.
A little bit more customizable, not totally, but you're letting the consumer have a little bit more input in the build.
Well, I like to say it as they like to put their own personal touch on it. This is what I'd prefer to have. And that's what I think is more exciting, that I'm really excited about, because allowing customers to do more so that way they can really feel this is now our coach, not something just off of a lot. This is ours. This is what we designed. So that's what I'm probably most excited about is, our flexibility that we're now putting into ordering coaches.
Any features that you think are pretty cool for 2024?
There's a lot of little features that I think are cool. I think the D floor plan with the TV fireplace and the new kitchen layout is outstanding.
Yeah.
I mean, that is my coach.
Kind of hits all the sweet spots, doesn't it? Not that the other, we're not favoring one floor plan over another, but
well, but
maybe.
This is my personal one, which would work out good for me and my lifestyle.
Right.
There's other people that want a little bit more because they do a lot more entertainment. They want a little bit bigger living room areas, so they're going to look at more maybe like the B floor plan. It has a big 100-inch sofa. So I think for everybody has their own different tastes and different lifestyles. And so a lot of times that's another thing that I enjoy doing when customers come here. If they come to the factory and they want to give a plant tour, I'll give them a plant tour and then they'll say, well, this is what I'm looking at. I like to go get an MSRP sheet and give it to them and start marking it up for them. And that way they have it fresh in their mind. But listening to what they say will tell you what they're looking for.
Absolutely.
And so then I can just hand that sheet to them and then they can turn around and hand that to
Here's
somebody.
your order.
There you go.
They can hand it to me, right?
There you go.
No, that's great. So tell us a little bit about what happens if a customer wants to come and do a factory tour. What do they get to see?
So they can, if they contact us, we do have a in-house salesperson here. Todd Hahn is usually here quite often, so he usually will take care of the tours if I'm not available. But we will actually take them down the production line. We'll actually show them a raw chassis, how we get the chassis actually comes in from Spartan. And after we do the upfit, that would be all where the steel is all put on there. We'll actually walk down the entire production line, showing each station, each progress as that goes through there. You'll actually be able to walk up and actually touch the units, which is kind of unheard of, but we like to do that. our production starts really early. So if we do the tour around 1 to 2 o'clock, you can actually go down the coaches and actually touch them and everything else like that. So it's kind of interesting. And we really, when I was giving the tour, I said, this tour is for you. I've been doing this for many, many years. I know all this. So a lot of times when we give the tour, we try to give it at their pace. So if somebody was trying to, I just want to see what it's like real quick. Well, we can give you a tour in 30 minutes to an hour. Somebody else that walks in there and says, I'm looking at buying one. I want to know every little intricate detail. Okay, 3 hours later, we may be just finishing up. So that's what's kind of interesting. That's why I tell people when you stop by or just plan on stopping by and literally let's take your time and let's get your questions all answered while you're here.
No, I think that's nice. And it's fun to see that process. If you haven't done it, you should make the time and stop in and do it, because it really is cool to see how they start. Like you said, from raw chassis to putting the floor down, the tile, cabinetry, how it all just comes together, and then you have a great product.
Right.
Hi, I'm Angie with National Indoor RV Centers, and I want to introduce you to the first annual 2024 Music City Motorhome Expo, a VIP shopping experience. This event is the first of its kind for the RV industry. This boutique style event means no massive crowds, and attendees get exclusive access to be the first to see new 2025 model year, one-on-one time with manufacturers and industry experts, educational seminars, all meals, snacks, drinks, and campsites provided, and entertainment by Diamond Rio and Josh Turner. Remember, your registration fee will be applied to the purchase of a motorhome up to a year after the event. You won't want to miss the event that changes the way consumers shop for motorhomes.
Today's episode receives support from the All-Inclusive Motorhome Club. The AIM Club connects you with fellow RV enthusiasts from all across the country and comes with a ton of great benefits, including special discounts, VIP services, and exclusive access to incredible rallies and RV events, all for just $35 a year. Learn more at aimclub.org.
So you have been part of a lot of deliveries of coaches. What do you think makes a great delivery in your eyes?
What makes a really good delivery, first off, when people come in and are willing to spend the time to learn of their coach. It's the one thing that I hear about when people say, well, I just want to come by and pick it up. And that usually results in a lot of questions. And not so much questions, but a lot of misunderstanding on how the coach is actually supposed to work, which causes a lot of questions, which then cause a lot of issues because you're trying to make it work one way and you find out it's supposed to work another. Let me give you one example. It's always best to run your slides out while on the airbags.
I was going to bring this. I was going to have you talk about this because this is probably the question I get the most.
So
tell us what.
So let me tell you why. Because everybody likes to say, run your jacks down because we built your coach while it was level. We want your coach level before you run the slouts out. Well, as we well know that when you run the jacks down, it's perfectly level, right?
No,
now
you may
not.
be twisting your chassis.
You
just
may
a
be
little
twisting
bit.
it. Most leveling companies will get within 1 degree. 1 degree is 8 inches on a 45-foot coach.
Wow.
Now we use equalizer. Equalizer gets within a 1/2 degree, so we actually cut that down, still down to 4 inches. But once again, what it can do is actually can twist the unit by that 1 degree,
or even a 1/2 degree. You're 4 inches off from front to back.
right? So it can twist the unit. Well, what happens to your opening? Your opening now is not square no more. It actually gets a little bit tilted at an angle. Meanwhile, your slide out, which is free floating in there, remains a square. So now you're trying to run a square peg through a trapezoid hole.
And it will probably work first couple of times they do it.
It will work. You'll be finding out later on that your seals will start getting peeled off there because it's actually rubbing up against the seal real hard. So it'll actually rub the seal right off there. But you'll have corner caps. They'll start snapping off and different things like that. So in other manufacturers, once you understand that, really we want that opening to be a square, Now you'll go back to always running on the airbags. And it doesn't matter if the coach is level. It could be tilted one way or another. That doesn't matter. We just want that opening to be a square.
Right. So you want to have basically at right height, slides out, then jacks down.
Jacks down.
And then do the opposite when you go to leave. Jacks up, bring
Then
your
run
coach to right height,
Right.
and then slides in.
Right. And then what that does is the airbags, I guess what it comes down to is the airbags don't have the stiffness like your jacks would to actually twist the coach. It's more forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why that's so important. But you can imagine if somebody doesn't know that, they get somewhere, they run the slide.
Logically, you can, when you first think about it, you think like most people do. Put my jacks down so I'm level. It tells me I'm level. Now I should take my slides out. So logically, I can see how they get to that conclusion. But
it's not good. There's a slide out system out there in the industry right now that if your coach is twisted a little bit, it will come undone.
Oof.
And then you'll be stuck with a slide out either closed or open at that point in time.
Hard to travel that way.
Very hard. Makes an extra wide load that way.
Yeah, you got to have that the front truck and the back truck to guide you along your way. So you kind of jumped to I was going to say, what's the questions you get asked the most? I know you get that slide out question a lot. What would you say is the next question you get asked most frequently by customers?
I get a lot of questions asked about batteries and how the batteries last and the value of lithium batteries, because that's the new thing now, lithium batteries. Everybody's asking me, is lithium batteries worth it? I have my opinion on that. If you want it, give me a call.
Are you not going to share?
Well, so the problem,
I know we've talked about this a lot.
So the problem with the RVs that we build, people don't buy them to go dry camping.
Not for the most part.
Yeah, so normally they're plugged in or they're run down the road where your alternator is producing power. So lithium batteries gives you no value at that point in time. You can take our coaches and easily stay overnight. So that's what your battery powers are for. Well, for what the cost of lithium is, you can buy a whole lot of diesel fuel.
Absolutely.
And run your generator. And even when you go with the lithium package, now we got to go to a special inverter if you want to run like air conditioners on there, but you're still down to you're running the lithium batteries dead. Now you got to turn on and start your generator anyways. So let's just keep all that up front and then just buy the diesel fuel for the generator.
Right. I can see the lithium packages on a lot of the, Bs and Cs where you can. They're small enough and nimble enough that you can take them off road, that you can go off grid. Typically in the coaches that you sell or rep are not going off road much.
No, not too much.
Not too smart to take them too far off road. So Ted, I think training is super important, and that's a lot of what you do when you come to our dealerships. Spend a lot of time with the sales team, training them, making sure they know the product well, because we do want to be experts when we're selling these high-end coaches that frankly cost a lot of money. What else do you typically do when you're at the dealership visiting us?
So the training of the salespeople will get you so far with the customer. Sorry, and it's one thing that so we got to look at the time span for buying a coach. That may be up to a month or whatever it takes to learn everything you want to. Where it really comes down to is what happens after the sale.
Absolutely.
So when I come to your dealerships, to train the salespeople is one aspect of it. But I also like to go back to the service department. Most of your service departments, most of the people know me already by name. A lot of them have my cards.
I think you're their favorite person.
Well, but it's
you
also
save them a lot of diagnostic time because
but it's nice to go back there and see if they're struggling with something. If the technician is struggling to try and get something, then you got to understand the customer is also waiting for the coach to get repaired. So if I can go back there and help them with some diagnostic time, or here, look, this is how you need to fix this, or whatever issues have you been coming across. And so what I do is I try to put all that stuff together and give them more tools and more information that I can. But yeah, there have been several times where, here recently, I was down in Atlanta. We had a problem with the steering column. And, I got the steering column down there, which literally I got it down the next day by making a few phone calls, but we got the steering column down there. I was sitting there trying to get ready to put the thing in there, and Tillman walks up and he says, "Ted, step aside. We got this. We got this." So your technicians have been very receptive to us also, but also what's nice is that they also learn a lot of different things. While I was there, I showed them how to hook up the steering column without actually having a computer to program the steering column. So it works both ways. If I can help out your technicians, not only does it help the customers and help you as a dealership, but also helps us out at Entegra Coach.
Absolutely.
So when I'm there, my normal day.
Do you travel with coveralls?
No, I don't.
I bet your wife wishes you did.
But I do have an extra t-shirt that I usually carry with me. And yes, I have ruined a few pairs of pants.
Yeah,
yes.
I bet. Well, I know that our technicians, you are their favorite guy. First of all, you know the coaches obviously from the very beginning. And I know that our salespeople love you because Ted literally is a call away. I mean, he's just so great to answer and get right back to you. So always super helpful.
In your Phoenix store, the one time we had a customer that had a problem with their Aquahot and was prepared to drive from Phoenix all the way back to Middlebury.
Oh, gosh.
And you had a technician that I was working with, and we worked late into the evening, got his Aquahot all done. The next day he shows up there and the customer was able to take a hot shower that next morning. Now, like I said, from a customer side, I'm going to spend 2 or 3 days driving back to Middlebury and 2 or 3 days driving back.
Expensive, uncomfortable because you're not going to have a hot shower all the way there.
And here we got repaired. And like I said, it was late one evening, but even the technician said, "Wow, I learned so much just, working with you." Not that I was doing all the work. So
right.
Your technicians do a
but
great
just
job.
Guiding, sure.
But yeah.
No, I think that's phenomenal, and it speaks, to just how customer service oriented you are, and then you're so willing to share your knowledge and experience with us. So, can't thank you enough for that. You know that us at NIRVC, we are all about the RV revolution, working hard to improve the industry, advance the industry. What can you tell us that you're doing at Entegra Coach that is part of that RV revolution?
So obviously, one of the things I'm doing is obviously supporting you guys with the different things that you guys are trying to do. But also, I'm looking at it, what can I do, with different videos. I've worked with PJ a lot on different training videos that we can help train not just the technicians, but there's also a lot of videos out for the customers themselves. So that way they can learn how to do different things.
So I think that whole part about educating the consumer so they know how to use their unit, their coach, and then also the education that you provide to our team and our technicians, it's awesome. We can't thank you enough, Ted. And I know we are the luckiest to have you as part of our team, and we love that synergy between National Indoor RV Centers and Entegra. So thank you so much for joining me here today. Can't thank you enough for all you do and being willing to give this time to us today. If you would like more information on the topics that we discussed today in the podcast, you can hit the links below in the podcast episode description. If you've enjoyed the podcast, then help us out. Write a review, send it to your friend, and of course, subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Now, make sure you tune in to our next episode so you can see which industry expert, icon, or influencer is up next. Until then, class is dismissed, and we'll see you down the road.